Sebelum Anda masuk ke video saya, ada baiknya Anda like dan subscribe dulu. Saya beri waktu 5 detik. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
This is who wants it the most. It's time to find out now in the map 3 coming in. It's Erangel here, and this is going to be a cracker of a game from north to south. Plenty available. Yes, teams out in the east might have to stretch a little, but it's all there to be played for.
Yeah, and exactly. We don't really have the full knowledge of where every team's going to be dropping. It's a little bit like Game 1 of Miramar,
yes,
where, of course, in that game we saw Japan and Turkey sort of hot dropping on each other. We might see something similar here. So for the first game of Erangel, at least for PUBG Nations Cup 2019, we're in for a ride.
We certainly are. A couple of teams already heading out, getting out of the plane nice and early. We need to keep our eyes. We have noted the scrims. We have talked to some of the teams. We know that basically from Roshok to that south sunny road, the Justin before you get towards Amelia Island, is very busy, to say the least.
The middle section of the map, realistically. Not a lot of teams going out sort of east or west, certainly not going north or south to something like, say, military base, or up far north towards, you know, the top end of the island, Taverny, for example. Definitely nothing like Stalba. As we head in, first minute gone, and this is going to be interesting for Australia, of course. We're looking at them. They just won game 2, but on Erangel, they've got a very interesting drop location. It's sort of in between School and Pachinki.
And if you want to look at who's around them, it's pretty much everyone. You do have Finland out towards Pachinki, so that is their land, kind of going full liquid on that one, ignoring the other members and taking their playstyle. Towards the east, you've got USA out there, Turkey out there. You have a lot of teams sitting around that School Roshok cluster. Now, the switch up I'm seeing is the Team UK down in the south side are actually taking Millie base. Now, they were over in Milta Power from what we were discussing, and we've got some early action. That ain't good. A bike versus a car. I don't know who's going to win that one out, but it might be just kind of part ways, move aside.
Yeah, a bit of a stalemate there. Duckman's able to, of course, have the car advantage, but they're going to just apart from each other. Going back to what you were talking about, though, Great Britain making us look a bit silly. Also up north, Chinese Taipei towards Taverny, Vietnam around shooting range as well. So a little bit of a difference here from what we might have expected, but we haven't seen any hot drops, no contestants early.
No, and Australia are really taking a very large portion within the map as well. If you look at it, they've got ruins, the water city. You do have that kind of connecting road between Pachinki, the northeast of it, towards School. So they're in a relatively nice spot here. Shinobi going to be getting the loot going. Everyone's just kind of going through the motions. That's pretty much it. We don't see too much early action. No early casualties at the moment. I would like to say, at least with a circle like this, you're going to get a great deal of play coming in. Plenty of room, but when you look central, you are looking towards a great deal of open field. So if it does go towards that East Gatka area, that does get very, very rough. Yeah,
Gatka is a common location. Generally, we see the zone shifting towards the Gatka fields, whether it's the north or south side of it. So I think we'll see Canada sort of in the mix early on, maybe around phases 1, 2, and 3. Korea, of course, South Georgia Pole. They're going to be on that side of the zone as well. Japan over towards Quarry. Russia at Ferry Pier are going to be able to push up north into the Gatka fields if it does continue to rotate towards there for the zone. And of course, Finland, Pachinki, they're center of this zone already for phase number 1. And what they're going to do here, do they pull it back? Do they play it safe, or do they stick to their usual style?
That's going to be the big question. We'll find out the answer. I'm looking at team, the German side here to really start stepping in a little bit, finding that form, finding the confidence as well. I'm a little worried after that game where it looked like they were poised to win and they fumbled it. Whether it be a misread, a miscall, whatever it may be, because they were an actual team, let's say, at least at PEL, they are a full collective then. I do expect better decision-making. I expect a little bit more. I hold a higher regard for them because they are that general, full-rounded team. Now, they have done fine. They have been getting placements, a couple of kills here and there, but you want the basics covered. They're the one team that should have that completely down.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, at the end of the day, though, sometimes you get too fed for your own good, and that might have been the case for Germany in game number 1. And, of course, game 2, they didn't get fed at all, quite opposite. In fact, they finished 8th. So, in saying that, they've probably still been the most consistent over the 2 games. It just so happens that, for example, Vietnam's first game, they got 26 points. We're heading into game 3, they're still only on 26 points because they weren't able to back it up in game number 2. So, Korea, China, Taipei, Australia is technically also an Asian country. By nature, the top 5 is all Eastern countries.
And I think if you're going to be truly critical, as much as we do look at Europe being quite the powerhouse as of late, beyond that, it's very hard to ignore some of these players. And I think that's coming to the forefront here. And they are scrappy. And this is what matters in games like this, is that scrappiness. Because it isn't just that kind of clinical, very removed style we see over in PEL, for example, or the North American region to a lesser extent. This is very much play as that kind of scrappier game can be. Play your almost normal PUBG game. It is not that kind of, I guess, very well scripted game we often see. Anyway, all that aside, we are seeing those early rotations coming in. Canada's definitely trying to centralize up. They're going to try and take a very strong compound. Wherever they want to go, they do get somewhat of a pick of the litter. Australia does get a very good start. Might just head over to those yellows, kind of just south of the ruins. I'm not sure where they want to end up here, and I do wonder if they're slightly light on vehicles just purely due to where they dropped and how many teams will be around that area. We do see, again, Korea starting to leave Georgia Pole. They're heading out and trying to find their little slice.
Yeah, they're going to head up towards Everest, coming out of South Georgia Pole with a Gaka sort of zone, at least for phase number 1. It's a pretty standard push out for any team coming out of South Georgia Pole. You go up to Everest, you can scout out, get as much information as you can find before the zone starts to shift for phase number 2. If it hard shifts down south, Korea could even just back up, go all the way towards the western coastline and make their way down south if they want to, or they could just push down directly. You can see now they've got 3 on top of Everest already. Chinese Taipei making their way through as well.
Yeah, but Vietnam's engaging already, so they're going to try and get those shots through. Not fully committed, of course, very well and truly able to disengage from this. This does put a little bit of a spot towards Korea in the aspect of they need to be careful. They head down southeast, you've got Australia. You can't now move north, you don't really want to anyway. You might need to start being careful with this, because Australia are very close by, and I think it's actually Luke who's not far off from this. Now pressure coming back in from Pio, but here comes the play. Luke 12 gets contact, gets a tag, but he does not get much more, but that's information. And again, Korea gonna have to try and find somewhere to call home.
It's also information for Korea too, right? So obviously for Australia, they've noticed, all right, Korea's pushing in from Everest. They know that it's Korea as well. The only team that's going to be at Everest at this point of the game is going to be South Korea. But South Korea at least get information, as you mentioned, on Australia's position south of ruins, around that sort of yellow region, and they're very fortunate they didn't lose Loki.
No, it is a little bit of a blessing at this point. They can readjust. It's still early in the game that you just won't get prime compounds.
Yep.
That's the takeaway from this. Now you have to look again at the teams who are going pretty much in the center of this slice, because there is that land ratio, if you want to talk about it. It basically moves away from water at certain points, at certain circles. That's why teams will avoid those coastlines. Even in the north, that river still counts. So again, that's why you're looking at potentially Finland barely moving. Australia barely moving. Everyone wants to find an area around that marker, keep the vehicles up so it can allow them those late game rotations. But out towards the outskirts, you do have the, the UK side eventually slowly working forward. They're not in a hurry. If you do play or watch, for example, Na'Vi, so some of the CIS players there, the Russian side, they don't bridge camp, they don't hold it. It's not worth it at this point. So I'm pretty sure Vard and the boys know we can disengage from here at our own leisurely pace. Yeah,
they get a decent spot here, Russia. They're going for Pachinki Hill. Really good vision that they can get. They might be able to spot Thailand. They'll definitely see Argentina across the other side of the road for them. As you mentioned, the United Kingdom down south, they're in, of course, Sosnovka Island. They're going to start making their way up. Fortunately for them, going over the Lighthouse Side Bridge, they're going to be able to come into South Gatka Fields pretty much uncontested. And if they get a south zone shift for phase number 2, I mean, they're going to be quite fortunate coming in late. On the opposite side, though, their North American brothers, the United States of America, up north in North Georgia Pole, they're going to take a bit of time.
And again, it's becoming a little bit of an issue towards the northern side of this, coming out of Georgia Pole, for example, over Everest. You do see a lot of teams congregating around that area. If a hard shift comes in, that means Korea goes from, I guess, I don't want to say a weak position, it's not, but it's probably the weaker of the few. If you're talking about centralized areas, they become the gatekeepers, and that's where they could really thrive. We'll see where that circle goes. If a hard shift comes in, suddenly it kind of spins this entire game around.
Certainly so. 50 seconds until phase number 2. Zoidman's going to be knocked down, though, by Mert. Headshot. Not sure exactly of the situation, whether or not it's a safe res, but it seems like it might be. Mert, of course, was actually the first player to die here at the PUBG Nations Cup, so that's a good start for him. Hasn't found a kill yet, but not going to get this one onto Zoidman. Easy revive, and it is indeed a safe res.
Yeah, but now we have who's the louder fans, the Turkish fans in chat or the Australian fans in chat?
Definitely Australian.
I'm going to say you're wrong on that one, but we'll find out. We'll find out if it's, if they can back up the loud mouths, the old Aussies.
I'm sure they can. As for Chinese Taipei, making their way down, they've come all the way from Severny, all the way up north, as we are now just 8 seconds away from phase number 2. Smart from Korea, they've kept Everest in control. If it does go north, that's going to play into their hands.
And again, this is the poised moment. Let's see. Pretty much safety here. I don't think it's too harsh for anyone. I think most expected it purely because of how these games go. We do have contact in the southern side with Germany finding a couple of shots through there, but I doubt they'll get much off it. This should be teams, again, this only unlocks I guess Gatka as a whole. It unlocks a little bit of that southern side, the forest that runs through that, just northeast of Quarry. This means there's room to move away from Pachinki and those fields. Yes, again, it's far from prime territory, but it gives room for those kind of edge-playing teams to find avenues in, like the USA, like we have China out there, like we have Germany, and Team UK. And
you can notice already, if you could say, that the whole south side of Gatka Fields is extremely open. So United Kingdoms don't see them running into too many issues at the current present time. Argentina going to be crossing away through Pachinki Fields. What's interesting to note, though, is we're reaching the 10-minute mark and we still haven't had a death. Very stark difference to Miramar.
But I think this is what we expect when we look at Erengard. This is very well refined in regards. You might catch someone on rotation. That could be a factor. We do see the bike taking a bit of a tumble, and as does the player. Now that's, again, information found in a bit of a predicament for Argentina, but they are at least somewhat safe here. I don't want to say for long, and it does slow down their rotation out of Pachinki or away from Pachinki, but they shouldn't be instantly picked up. The only deaths I see here would be lack of scouting. If someone just sends it into a compound where they probably shouldn't, yeah, you could get picked up, or just being caught off the back of a bike or out of a car. I don't see full team wipes yet. With a circle like this, it's plenty playable.
Certainly so. And for Silzen and Argentina, I don't sense he's going to go down here using 2 smokes. And, you know, that's the cost of it. Never mind 3 smokes as he gets back over towards Church. And
oh, engagement on the south side. Hold on, I'm pretty sure Germany might be setting up a bit of a camp on that one. Maybe just playing the normal edge game, a slower game, but I wonder if they're going to be able to actually catch out players here. This is the one position where you could potentially see it. Here it is. So yes, there's Chris popping off shots, trying to adjust for that bullet drop as best he can, but it is a bit of a far one, even for a man of his talents and his stature. But it's information found, and they can still hold the line. They can make it uncomfortable on these rotations.
I think it's... Oh, boy. No, that's some Australian driving right there. It happens all the time. They'll be fine, don't worry. But Chinese Taipei might not be. They're not inside of the zone. It's a bit of a gatekeep here from Germany over towards the cliffs as we see Moody send it back over to Canada.
That's nice. Maybe, you know, I don't mind Canada trying to be a little bit brazen with positions. I don't mind them taking that, being a little bit cheeky on it, trying to push out, try and hold territory. It's a very nice complementary position if you hold both across those fields. But Australia did have the numbers 2-1, so why not send it in there, take it over? Good job for them. The rotations will be slowed down. This 2-2 split could be less than intentional for Australia, but they'll hold it for now. We still see that southeastern scrap continuing forward, but it is going to be disengaged, and there will again be room for these boys to find route.
And we're about to reach the 12-minute mark. Still really not much of note has in fact happened. A couple of knocks here and there, some close exchanges. Australia have been really the highlight of this entire game.
It's nice of them to put on a show for us.
Look,
very nice.
They know that everyone else is not really doing too much, and so they want to make it interesting at least. Here comes the United States of America, Bahawaka, Valiant. They've been having a rough time as well. We haven't spoken too much about them.
No, because there's not much to speak about. I mean, it's been a very quiet performance from the old USA.
I mean, right now, you know, usually it's EU versus NA. Well, it's OCE better than both of them right now.
I think that's a bit of a stretch. We'll let you have it because you've won the game finally. We're all very proud of you. But for now, we'll see if they can maybe avoid running each other over, getting knocked very early on. It's quite tricky for them. Anyway, Circle going to come in, and let's see who gets caught on this one. This is where it's going to start hurting. And now it goes northeast. Australia have a wonderful 2-2 split. Intentional or not, they're in a prime position here. You may want to try and reconsolidate this. The northeast side is now treacherous because it's an open field. Yeah, that area is not playable for more than a couple of teams.
It's a tough one with the road split as well.
And look at this field as well. There's so many quote-unquote unplayable areas. We're going to have a lot of casualties in the next couple of moments.
Certainly so. I mean, we kind of expected. We are now into phase number 3. Australia are going to regroup just south of Ruins towards those yellows. Like 12, and Insight will group up with Vasily and Zoidbait. USA going to wrap around the western side of the Gatka Fields, heading towards Everest. And now it's time for South Korea to make their way down the mountain and join the fields of Gatka. Canada, do they just hold this position?
I think it's a decent one. If they can hold that 2-2, it's great, but it's dangerous. This is how much faith do you have in a mix? How much faith do you have in these players that you don't know that well? Germany going the massive swing up towards the northeast side. They're hitting that blue. They're going to just touch on towards that. But coming into this, it's not going to be an easy area for them to play into. There's actually already teams in this area. There's already a couple of those positions kind of, I guess, covered off, so they may not be walking into a great situation, and with a headshot like that coming through, it's made it a little bit worse. Now they have to err on the side of caution because they've already got Brexco down relatively low. He's a little bit of the walk-in wounded here. He will manage to stay alive, I can imagine, but the rest of the team need to make their play through, and there we go. It's USA looking like they are in dire straits. That's another tragic loss for them.
Yeah, of course, United States, they try to just push through. They get sprung upon by PO. 2 of South Korea. Zempo on top of Everest has to fall away. And for Valiant, unfortunately, he's going to have to be left behind. For the United States of America, it's about trying to just get all the rest of the 3 players out of this situation. Don't feed any more kills to Korea.
It looks like they're okay. Zampa is on an island. The other 2 have escaped, at least for now. But Zampa, I don't know how well he's going to get away from this. I don't think Korea's going to hunt this because he's going to go deeper in towards the blue. The south side is looking a little bit busy as well. Zampa's going to go on the long way around. Reconvene.
Oh, no! Great Britain, United Kingdom, Varden Reels.
Not so united, not so great. It's all looking a little bit worse for we're in that southern side. We're seeing all these teams struggling with a way forward, and actually this could be further problems. You have God V on the other side, the one man you do not want to tangle with. Michael is sending it. He wants nothing to do with that. He wants some safety, and he finds none of it.
Chai White gets the knock onto Michael. Miracle last but alive. Can he find a way to salvage this scenario for the United Kingdom? No, he cannot. Last place for the United Kingdom, and as an Australian, well, that just makes me pretty happy.
You've got to have some things to be happy about. You are Australian. I'm glad we can provide that for you once again. In the south, though, Russia and Brazil finding a bit of engagement. But beyond that, you do see Turkey trying to find a way forward towards Germany. It's a bit of the PEL battle here. We have a lot of the standard names we see time and time again, potentially about to scrap.
Luke 12 actually picking up the crate center of that zone, and Australia are going to get another really good beat. But Vietnam just quietly on the north side of this circle as well. Could become a factor. Brexco with a knockdown onto a beautiful D. Germany getting involved here towards Watertown.
Yeah, but now look at this circle. What we have available is very, very limited. Canada still very strong. Australia very strong. Vietnam very strong. Finland doing okay for themselves. This is scary. Korea sending it in as well. They're going to be joining Canada. And actually, the Canada need to be careful to not overextend here. They've been caught in transition. Sixmo just caught off Kaint. And we do see Udir trying to peek up and above. And that could be maybe a catch-off. Mert needs to be very cautious to not over-peek in this.
Sixmo still inside of Watertown for Turkey. Udi with a nade, he's got 2 more to use, but you don't really want to use them all too early. Mert holds on for now for dear life, and well, certainly on a prayer. Brexco is still inside of Watertown.
You may win the battle, but the war is further ahead. You have the Chinese team setting up gatekeeping on this. You have USA setting up on this. Even if you win this battle, you move away from it, you're going to finally kind of fumble over yourselves. These 2 teams are in a very bad position now. Suddenly it's not looking so good, and we have Korea and Japan about to clash as well. That's over towards the east of Gakka. That's a huge fight. They're turning up, and it looks like Aqua 5 already sends them packing.
Yeah, Aqua 5 is going to be able to get Says just north of Chopsticks here at the Yellows. Gabba's still alive, but is basically got no health at all. Death at the backside of this yellow building. Shinobi is up. They've only actually knocked down 1. And so for the entrance that Japan was able to have, South Korea haven't really been able to really deter them at all.
Not yet. It's that kind of melting pot. They're trying to get the heals off. They need to buy their time. Chris has fallen. Germany's not looking so good. Japan trying to find a way around. They're looking for that angle of approach that might allow them maybe a pick, a knock, something. The nades come through, and you can see all that utility being put down. This is deadly.
Shinobi knocked down. And South Korea get another knock, but they still haven't been able to convert any of these.
He's pushing, he's looking for this one. Here comes the aggression. They're trying to go on the cleanup. They're looking so into this.
Germany's just been eliminated. The Molotov gets the knock down onto Gabba as well. Shinobi finished off by Pio. He is the star for South Korea. And they're just about finishing off Japan, 2 left alive.
We do have a third party in the background, but that's just kind of clutching at straws. They're trying to pick them off. Japan's worse for wear, to say the least. They are broken into pieces, desperate to stay alive by utility, and that's about all they've got. Now look at Ruins. You do have the Turkish side working towards USA. That's a very hard disengage. Look at that gap. Look at the difference. That's why the utility is going down here. This is not going to be an easy way to move out for the Turkish team. They need to get a couple of knocks. They need to find a way through, and that is not the way.
Bahawaka gets on the board, but can he confirm it for the United States? Hyro tried to get away, crawl away, but he can't get away from Bahawaka. Sixmo, Mert still alive. Mert hanging on by the skin of his teeth as we go back to Japan and Korea. Gabba's been knocked down as Says actually jumps into the yellow.
This is insanity. Oh no, Korea.
Yep.
Korea, you have to be so careful to not do this, because look off to the side. He gets down 1, but the trade is instantaneous for Korea. Now can they find the rest? Wait, Pio's just been found.
And he gets 2, but unfortunately Loki finishes him off and Japan go down to South Korea.
We're down to 12 teams. We are looking like these last remainders on the outskirts, desperate for a way in, and not looking. Oh my god! Oh my god, run!
Luke!
Can you believe it?
Sorry! We'll take 2. One for the road.
Another nade coming in. Is that going to be good as well? No one's still there. He can't quite get it, but Pio's bleeding. He's gone. He's gone down. That's a huge loss. Canada has timed this so perfectly. Striking while the iron's hot, moving in while they're bleeding from the wayside.
And if they can complete this fight, they'll have basic zone control on the western side of this next zone for phase number 5. Aqua 5 holds the window. Loki still alive as well for South Korea. You cannot underestimate this team. They've been able to get 3 standing. South Korea will not go down without a fight.
They won't. It's time to dig their heels in. Can they hold on here? Because look at them come. Moody's having a look. He fancies it. And we know Korea have burnt through all of that utility. Now they're pinned in, and Canada needs to clear this out and fast. They can't stay alive for long. They can't sit in this position. You want to move around. That's why Moody is there, clearing it out as he goes. And Korea's just hunkering down, taking their time, peeking those angles. But Drassel's on the play. K-Mine's wanting to do this. This is really well orchestrated thus far.
Really smart from both teams, really playing it slow. But it does give South Korea the advantage of being able to heal back out. Dressel's going to be knocked down though, pushing in. Indonesia's going to be knocked down too. Canada with the 1-1 trade. Loki down, and Canada get the annihilation onto South Korea.
But while this all happened, Vietnam took the opportunity and moved into their old home. So yes, Canada cleared out one threat, but Vietnam have just moved in and claimed their stake. Now, up on the other side of things, we finally see Russia turning up here towards Brazil. They hold the house. They try and hold on to this one. They're in a good spot here, at least for now. Finland not far off. You still have China there and Australia in a bad position. They were looking pretty good for a while, but maybe they took their time. Maybe they got slowed down by the Turkish side.
They still got 4 alive though. 3 over towards the yellow. Luke Wells going to be knocked down by himself. Matt 98 will take out the fragger from Australia. But still got 3 alive as Mexi from behind tries to remonstrate. And it's not able to get the knock on the Mad 98, who actually gets a quick double tap on the Mexi, is Finland. Well, this is certainly a better game from them.
Yeah, we are seeing USA, though, moving in. Australia's in all kinds of trouble here. They need to be very cautious about which fights they take, how much they show, because they are very near to each other. China keeping them well kept. Tixu's chomping at the bit to dive in. Zampa finds Zoidmate, and Australia are not looking so hot right now. They're down to the limited numbers, and look at Zampa's angle. It's so strong. He shows insight, what he can see in this situation, and they're pushing on this now. Look at Finland. There goes Australia. Yeah, they may be better than the Brits, but at least they're done for now. Finland, though, see this all happening. They hear it happening, and they're holding the line here. But the USA are pinching in China. They're closing in on this from both sides.
And Sixmo's in here as well for Turkey. The Turkish band, he's still alive. He's hanging around throughout all this action. Summer inside of the blue, behind the tree, but losing health. Now knocked down, now eliminated. China are out. And the United States now turn their attention to Sixmo from Turkey. After that, it'll be Finland.
You have to keep your eyes on Vietnam in the bigger picture here. They moved in at the perfect time when Canada moved over to clear out Korea, but look at this. This fight over in the Northeast is still so scary. We know the Turkish team can play a cautious game. Sharky's had none of it. He can smell the blood in the water. Sixmo's gone, and as is Turkey. And now it's time to look towards the next fight. It's Finland, cold as ice, holding the line. They did lose out on a player, though. Mexi with a good tag. Zampa's in all kinds of trouble. And Tixu's nade could be worth its weight in gold if it made it far enough.
Mahawaka with a knockdown onto Mexi. United States have improved on Erangel. In fact, most of the teams that are still alive have done a 180 compared to Miramar's performances. Mexi going to get revived as there are actually some shots from Vietnam, the entire zone away towards the United States.
United States do need to keep making a move on this, so the ground they currently hold is basically an open field behind them. They do not have a long time to stay in this spot. And with the blue on their back, they need to make the play. Finland realize this. They know what's next steps. They know what's ahead of them. And now here comes Canada trying to make the cross, trying to head over towards Vietnam, but the spot's been made and the tags come out. That's why Drassel's got that 24 to hand. He's trying to get the pick, give them opening. I would say the one thing for Vietnam here is they're all isolated in these buildings. One knock isn't a safe revive anymore.
Certainly not. Nades, though, are still available for Vietnam. Luke's going to be knocked down by that one from Basil. Second one to follow, only gets him down to half health, but a third one may just do the job. Luke trying to crawl away, is able to. It'll be safe, though, for K-Mine to go for this revive. For Canada, they're going to make up their mind. Luke's going to be eliminated, though, by Nim. And now they've got the pressure.
They certainly do. Feeling it build. You can see the Molotovs on the floor slowing down Canada. The role they started to build has been tempered, has been hindered. And Vietnam again turn their attention to who's further afield. The Russian side. Isolated, sure, but still able to get a good bit of vision towards Finland, keeping them very much at arm's length. And look at Moody trying to make a play here, trying to find a bit of an angle to find approach. A doozy there towards Samti. PEL brothers in arms. Action upon action. And the push from Zampa. That's really good timing. He sees them bleeding. He sees them wounded. He sees them vulnerable. And they capitalize.
Tixu, last one remaining now for Finland. They've only got the 3 kills. It could be a 5th place finish. It might not be really what Finland would want out of this first game on Erangel. They'll still take it compared to the Miramar performances, but what's interesting to note is right now, no team has got center control.
Oh,
Moody going to be knocked down by Senya. Drasso and K-Mine have got a lot of work to do now for Canada.
The CIS god Senya there. Not just IGL at this point, but showing he certainly can frag with the best of them, but what another loss for Canada. One by one, they keep getting picked apart in the worst possible ways. The nades coming through. Russia needs to be careful of how they get into the circle. I don't know the best option. They do still have vehicles. They might need to send it, and now it's open field. This is anyone's game here.
It is anyone's game, and it's all up for grabs from Game 3 of the PUBG Nations Cup into Phase 7. The United States are technically the closest to this zone, but Russia making a beeline push towards the eastern part of this circle. K-Mine going to be eliminated by Sapao. Drassel does get Nim, but it's all he's going to be able to achieve. Canada out in 5th.
A good hold from them, but Vietnam found that positioning so well. I cannot get over how perfectly they played that. They do still have a vehicle ready to go. USA, I'm pretty sure, are operating without vehicles at this point. So they are purely on foot, and there's very limited cover. We all know this area. We all dread this area. There's always that one person with, you know, the SLR or something tapping away at you. And that's what we're going to see Vietnam sending it. They're flying in there, and that is getting everyone's attention. They're smoking. Oh, they've lost down another.
And Tixu gets a knockdown onto Kemmer, but does go down to a doozy. And that's going to be Finland out in 4th position. United States, Vietnam, and Russia are the final 3 teams here for Game 3. So power knocked down by Sharky. United States might not have the vehicles, but they've got the firepower, Pansy.
They need the utility too. They need it all. Uber's going to try and find a nice little position here with a bit of hard cover to play off. And that's a very nice spot. It's not looking good for Vietnam. And no, it's not indeed. Welcome to the top 2 now. 7 players alive. And we know who it is. The USA up against the Russian side. The USA hold the northern position. The Russians hold the southeast. And the Russian team are making their move as Sharky just got knocked.
Zampa might have best position in the zone, but Russia have got that numerical advantage. It's a 4 versus 2 scenario. Zampa's been spotted out, almost at about half health, now definitely below it. He's going to get knocked down. It's not looking good for United States, and Bahawaka is the last one alive. He needs to pull off a clutch 1 versus 4, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. The CIS team, it's Russia for the first game of Erangel.
That's the sort of performance I expected from these boys. That's why a lot of the analysis guys, a lot of the guys on the desk were looking at them to pick up a big performance. Miramar didn't look good. They said it on the desk. We were waiting to see them capitalize on aggression, find those moments to strike, and find the perfect timing to be the team we know they can be. Finally, we saw it there in those final moments. But again, that top 3 was so good.
Certainly so, and sort of what I would say we expected, but boy, was it refreshing to see that the teams that struggled on Miramar certainly showed up here on Erangel. Right now, everyone has come to play, and we've seen sort of the top dogs now from EU make their mark. Finland, Russia, Germany, of course, have been consistent.
Yeah, and looking at the USA, they desperately needed that. And Canada as well. These are the teams we wanted to see do nicely, that they've had, you know, domination in their regions. And it didn't translate in those first couple of games. They weren't the teams we expected, but this, as you said, Erangel being maybe a bit more home territory to them, they can play at their pace, be, I guess, less instructed by the others, felt very homey to them.
Certainly so, and what a stark contrast in terms of the play style as well, heading over to Erangel. A lot more slow pace early on. We didn't really see a lot of kills. I think it was around the 14-minute mark until we got our first kill of the game there for match number 3 for the first game of Erangel compared to Miramar. Do you think maybe the nerves are starting to settle down for some of these players as well?
I think so. I think you're also finding your form with your fellow teammates. You're finding that how we really deal with the pressure. Yes, you can play your practices. Yes, you can play it at home. Yes, you've played your casual games. But on a stage like this, when everything matters, when you're representing your region, it does feel like a different matter. So the team's going to take a second or 2 here. But for them, we are starting to see them find form, and I'm glad to see a couple of teams who were quiet in the first few find their footing finally.
Certainly so. I mean, looking at sort of the teams that have made top 5 now over the first 3 games, it's a long list. There's not many teams that have done it twice. No team's done it 3 times, of course, so right now we haven't seen a sort of consistent standout. It's certainly wide open. Vietnam would probably be the standout,
Yes.
and that's a surprising one too.
It is, and I'm glad to see it. I love seeing a team come in, and I think most of us kind of expected a team like that to do well, but overall I think we've had a very good game on Erangel so far.
Yeah, certainly so, and for Russia, they'll be feeling happy, but who would be feeling disappointed from that game, really, for Erangel? I mean, probably the teams that did well on Miramar suffered more so on Erangel. You know, we saw Korea, of course, they were able to finish off Japan. That was a great moment for them. Japan have been struggling so far.
They have been. Hopefully for them they can find a bit more, but I believe that's it from us now. We'll find out in the next couple of games.
Uber's trying to feint them off. He gets Rory down. TSM may well fall here. This is not good news for TSM fans. Shiv's also been found by 8C. Reciprocity trying fourth. They cannot take Uber down. A quick bit of barrel work. Michael's also been confirmed by Hack. Zeddy, he's the last man standing. Might be able to get Shiv back on his feet. Gustav with the shotgun. Out in the fields. Uber pops out. He puts paint to Reciprocity. It's going to be relegations.
Basically, just watch all these unfold, and all the people that have to come out of water treatment, they're in trouble. FaZe have gone early.
And that looks quite nice towards Constantine. Yes,
Oh
it
my.
is. He was the one meant to be holding this push safe, and simply put, he did not see it happen.